This includes Josh and Brian's and, stone placement and how you contact it. But there's one thing in common here amongst them all is diamond stones. And this is where a few years after getting started, when I got to that point that I was scrutinizing my work and I was seeing those things because I was really getting into the microscope, and I started using whetstones looking for a solution or some help, and I don't get those areas that are suspect. In other words, with the diamond stones, and we see those microchips and we see the scratches that we possibly applied by our sharpening process, that I started using the whetstones. And on the harder steels that possibly do chip out, and there are hard steels that guaranteed chip out. Some of them, it's suspect. Some of them, it's like your edge is there and it's gone. It just goes away and there's a hole. So I've seen it happen. Whether it's poor hardening, poor knife making, or it's just that's what the steel is, and we're looking at it so close. Because if you back away from it, it still looks like a sharp knife, a flat knife. You only know that it chipped out because you're looking at it with a magnification. So it may be because of the scrutinizing work that we do that we've come to see these things, and it's also the conversation that I'm having with someone else about the steel, that the same steel S15V made in knives by two different guys has totally different character, and that has to do with the hardening and the tempering process. And we get to sharpen them all, and I cherish sharpening them all and talking about them all. But that led me to start with whetstones. And I found with the whetstones, I either was able to sharpen them better, or I don't know. I don't know if I put more care into it. I do know when I use diamonds now, I have the same problem as when I used diamonds before. So it's not that I started using whetstones and I learned something better that I didn't do in my sharpening stroke. It is the medium. The medium has a contribution to the edge. And that was shared by Doug, that says that since he's using the whetstones, it's not as prevalent a problem as it was. So if you're going to have nice knives like that, then I don't know, you may want to use whetstones. Maybe you need to use finer stones. I had the problem with the edges chipping, and I moved on to other mediums that I use more so now, because it's so much fun to see how the different mediums match with the different steels, like S15 or Maximet or XS30 or M390, the steels that we're all talking about currently. Anyway, if anybody wants to talk about whetstones, I'll be glad to talk to you about whetstones. Thanks.